Maybe we should call this episode Shock and Awe, because that's all we're about today, baby, as we review Black Ops 2 and Medal of Honor Warfighter. We also have Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter Cross Tekken in the lobby. We stopped by Straight Games on release night for Black Ops 2. Plus, there's a new FIFA 13 tournament on the horizon. That and more. You've just entered the lab. We were a bit iffy about this one, but Black Ops 2, well, let's just say Treyarch pulled out a few extra stops.
Here we have one of the most highly anticipated titles for 2012, Call of Duty Black Ops 2. Did it live up to the hype?
I don't know. Not so sure about that.
Okay, let's break this down. First, the question, did it really live up to the hype? Alright, let me start by giving you my definition of the word hype. Something that's made out to be more than it really is. You know, like when Mike Tyson used to enter the ring and the announcer would say, Iron Mike Tyson. Now we all grew to realize that he wasn't made out of anything near iron. So based on that, I can tell you right off the bat, no, Black Ops 2 did not live up to the hype. On to the details.
This isn't over yet.
Visuals, one of the highest selling points of the Call of Duty franchise. Yeah, it has a lot more to offer, but don't lie, we all get caught up in the eye candy at one point or the other.
Salazar, where are you?
But I'll have to say that though Call of Duty is probably the best looking military-based first-person shooter out there, the graphics seem to be stuck on a bit of a plateau. They're not bad, but they're not exactly a great improvement over, let's say, even Modern Warfare 2. And developers to this day still seem to be struggling with faces. Everybody looks like a mannequin or a victim of a Botox overdose.
See that handsome bastard? That's me.
The details are still there though. Those details that keep us so richly entertained. The guns look sweet, the environments, and just about everything else. Guess we won't be seeing any major graphic overhauls till maybe the next generation of consoles are released.
Dead don't suffer. That's why you and I are still here.
The audio, great. Now I have no complaints here. From the A-list lineup of actors to the A-list scores and sound effects, a thumbs up for all.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
The level of detail in Black Ops 2's campaign is quite satisfying. Keeps you immersed. Even if you find it difficult to follow the convoluted storyline, you'll still feel like you're participating in a really cool action film.
Central Records computer is subject to increased security. Access is only permitted via retina scan.
One of the new additions to Black Ops 2 will be the ability to change the outcome of the overall campaign. A lot of what you do will determine not only what follows immediately, but the overall ending of the game. Yeah, we also have multiple endings to look forward to. Not so much me as the gamers who will play the same game over and over. I'd rather not go back to the same game. Life's too short for that.
No!
But for all who are interested in seeing multiple endings and getting a whole lot more out of a Call of Duty game other than its multiplayer component offers, then this is right up your alley.
He's just a sad old man talking to himself. Let him talk.
So while playing, you'll meet up on various access points that if you interact with them and get whatever it is they have to offer, your choice will significantly alter what comes next and your career record. As well as some major life and death decisions that take place during the campaign. This is good. Gives the campaign a less linear feel.
If it were up to me, you'd be with your sister right now.
A bit more on the story. Like I said, convoluted, but this is how I find most of the stories in military shooters today. Maybe it's just me. You play the role of the main character, David Mason. Mason and his partner Harper go to a place called the Vault to meet with Frank Woods, an aging war veteran. They meet with Frank with the hopes of securing some info on the location of a global terrorist, Raul Menendez.
Alright, look, Woods gave us all the pieces. We just gotta put them together.
As usual, things take place in the game story that has you engaging in battles from different times. Regular Call of Duty stuff, nothing wrong with that.
The Russians want to give us one last display of brute force. Let's give them one last display of courage. You with me?
Because this is the first Call of Duty game to enter the future, so to speak, we have at our fingertips some pretty impressive high-tech gadgets to aid us in our virtual war on terror. At first I was weary. I really didn't like the direction Treyarch was taking the franchise, this whole Killzone futuristic bit, but it turned out not half bad. They actually pulled it off pretty well, and I have to admit, I'll take the future over another World War II game any day.
Harper, the security team's been compromised by PMCs. They're hostile.
The breaks from the battle won't take you too far from the action to the point where you might actually forget what it is you're fighting for in the first place, like some of those drawn-out cinematics in Metal Gear games. Between the pace of the fighting and the calmer moments lies a decent balance.
Now just show your ID and walk right through.
Hello, ladies. We're from the Union. That's it?
People don't do a whole lot in classes.
We also have these in-game moments called Strike Force missions. Let me first explain what they are, then give you my take on them.
If Russia caves in and joins SDC, they'd be the largest military force on the planet, which is precisely what Menendez wants.
These Strike Force missions are presented as a means of gaining assistance in later levels. You work with the JSOC to prevent the SDC from forcing neighboring countries into alliances. These missions are completely optional, and if completed successfully, you'll be able to garner assistance which will also alter key events later in the campaign. These Strike Force missions, however, are not for me and adds no real substance to the game in my opinion. I could have easily done without them. They just seem like Treyarch's way of grabbing at straws to tack on as much as they could, so they could hold their heads high and say, well, there, we didn't just release the same old same old.
Now it begins.
Now, another new addition is the ability to customize your loadout before the start of each mission. This, again, in my opinion, is an insignificant addition which I hardly ever saw the need to use. We all know that you can switch guns by picking up weapons from fallen foes, as well as the access points I mentioned, and overall the missions and entire campaign was so short that there wouldn't be a point where I'd actually feel like I'd need to be putting any great amount of thought and strategy into my loadout prior to a mission.
Let's make this quick. I don't want to miss out back in the real prize.
That brings me to my next point. Is it just me, or are these campaigns getting shorter and shorter as the franchise progresses? Is it that devs get so caught up in the online component that they just cut the campaign short and move along?
Go, now!
No, while I love a short campaign as I have so many games to go through and don't want to spend too much time on any one, I still expected a bit more from the campaign here. When I think back to all the hype the developers were creating before the game's launch and all the new elements they included, I would expect that with that much effort, the developers would have given it a little bit more time to sink in. Give us more time to appreciate what was done. Because I do believe that what should determine a campaign's length is the game's substance. If the game has very little to offer, then don't drag it out. But if you took the time to add all these bells and whistles, then yeah, stretch it out a bit.
Let's smoke this bastard.
The overall difficulty was a bit watered down as well. Usually I'd have at least one rough spot in a Call of Duty game, but that seems to be a thing of the past. Modern Warfare 3 was a breeze on the hardest difficulty, and so was this. The multiplayer. The aspect of Call of Duty that sends gamers out to buy this game over and over. There are persons who only own a gaming console for that purpose alone, to play Call of Duty. Now, just like the campaign, the multiplayer has gone through some changes as well. We got a lot of changes to create a class. Noteworthy is the 10-point system. You can distribute these 10 points to trick out your perks or arsenal. I like the flexibility here, and most important, there's a balance, as you only have a certain amount of slots to work with, so you'll have to make choices. Preferences based on your playstyle. You can go the perks route and sacrifice your sidearm or grenades completely. You also have the wildcard slot where you can use multiple perks or attachments. Now, the concept of team spirit has been stepped up a bit in multiplayer, where you get points for a lot more than just shooting the opposition. Even your UAV seems a bit more worthwhile, as you can get points for UAV assists among other things.
Pushing your location, time now.
Friendly UAV inbound. Be advised, hostile hunter-killer drone inbound.
Some of the new high-tech perks are also pretty cool.
Punisher 1-2 is wheeled up over your position, scanning for threats.
Zombies is a love it or hate it thing. Personally, I still leave that for Left 4 Dead and such titles. I never cared for zombie mode and believe it's nothing more than a silly out-of-place addition. But for those who look forward to it every other year from Treyarch, it's back with a bit of a bang, as you can choose from grief or survival mode. Maybe since they took it this far, they should have just added in a story mode. Maybe then I'd like it. I'll have more to add to the multiplayer section of Black Ops in the lobby later after the break. This is a pretty lengthy review, I believe, but this is how it's always been done and always will be done at the lab. I'll never just say a game rocks or this game sucks without a decent explanation or with a simple 2-minute long review. As we wrap up though, let me point out the things that apparently never change and always will disgust me with Call of Duty games. Apparently I'm the only game on earth who notices this garbage, but first, with all these new additions, could none of these geniuses on the development team not see the use of a cover system? Or again, the ability to run and shoot and reload. Now, Battlefield got it a bit right with the basic ability to run and reload, and Medal of Honor got it with the whole lean out thing, but Call of Duty, what is wrong with these people? Tell you what, Treyarch, for the ability to run and reload and shoot, I'll sacrifice one of your new additions, like let's say Strike Force mode, and for a lean out or cover system, I'll trade the whole customizable loadout before a mission thing. What say you? One last thing, give me a soldier that can run 10 feet without burning out like a recovering drug addict or someone 100 pounds overweight. So that's it. Another year, another Call of Duty game. Did they live up to the hype? Hell no. Did they live up to my expectations? Well, actually they kinda exceeded it because, well, my expectations were real low to begin with, so that's not necessarily a great thing. But yes, while I'm no Call of Duty fanboy, I must say this game is pretty good. Not as good as the devs would have you believe, but still worth buying. The lab gives Black Ops 2 an 8 out of 10.
Well, then we're all set.
Yep.
After the break, we talked to Gregory from Straight Games on the launch night of Black Ops 2 and hear about Straight Games' Christmas lineup, as well as a new FIFA 13 tournament brewing from the people over at KBM Media. We also review Medal of Honor Warfighter, so stick around.